owner of Gopher Guides, specializing in Go software engineering, training for Fortune 500 companies.
Chippewa Valley Code
Does
Camp.
AI programming and education in that sector on social media and things. To his left, we have Mr. Brian P. Hogan, the head of technical content at Tailscale. He's a professor, instructor, and author. Then we have Mr. Dr. Benjamin Anderson, Doctor of Vocational Education and Director of Privacy Engineering at Paramount, a Skydance company. We have Nate Otto, representing Children's Education. He's an Eau Claire City Councilman Nate Otto. And yeah, he's a school teacher. And representing Tradeschool, we have our own Kyle Lowenhagen from the home team here. Director Kyle Lowenhagen of CVTC's IT Data Analytics program, and he's been a longtime instructor. So thank you very much for our deathmatch panelists. I'm sorry that only one of you will survive today. It's hard, but we gotta do what we gotta do. Did that. All right, here's the rules. I wrote them last night, and I remember them very well. Answers must not exceed 2 minutes. Awarded point values may seem arbitrary, but they are very important. No excess mutilations, and overall, just have fun, guys. Who's ready for a death match? Skull's got cut off here. All right. First question, panelists. What is your signature weapon? Ninjas had shuriken, Roman gladiators had nets, and Vikings had axes. Please introduce yourself and your signature weapon in teaching. You can start in any order you'd like.
Well, it isn't dead.
Let's start with the home team. We got Kyle right here. Let's do it.
Well, Kyle Lowenhagen, I developed a new...
Oh, we got to press that button. Sorry.
Thank you. Technology, right? Kyle Lowenhagen, been teaching here since 2024, since I left the IT industry as the application manager here for the college. So I created a new program called IT Data Analyst, which I'm really excited about. We're using AI as a thought partner in all our classes, and just doing some really fun things for our students, and putting a lot of effort into that. Before, I taught the software developer program for years. So I think that IT instructors, for me, my super weapon would be encouragement. And the idea here is to get to know every student's story. And then what is their dreams? You know, sometimes it's something that I want to do this in IT, or I want to do this in some hobby or interest in life. And then I love to look at that and say, hey, well, we can use this IT career in the skill sets that we're teaching you as in software or data or whatever that area of IT, and let's build a vision for your life. And that's one of the things that's just, you know, as I talk to some of you that I've had over the years, and you're like, well, Kyle, yeah, you were really instrumental in helping me get that first job, and I'm like, I was, you know, but it's like, you know, sometimes those little things in life when you're working with people really does make a difference in their lives, and helping them build the vision, saying, hey, you can use this SEO technology, or you can use this how to buy a domain name on the web and build this business out. And then I tell the student, talk to the student 6 months later, and they've done it, and they're making revenue or whatever the case may be. And so that's the fun part about being an educator, is the encouragement and helping them build that vision.
It's fantastic. 10 points. 10 points, 10 gold swords.
Okay.
Nate, yeah, let's go down the line.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Nate Otto. I'm a middle school teacher for the school district of Mondovi at Anthony Acres Charter School. And my secret weapon is a very fussy weapon, because it's very easy to not wield it properly. And that is making a personal connection with each student. And the reason it's fussy is because when you're a teacher, you're an authority, but you also want to be a friend. And if you go too far in either direction, you're not going to be effective. So it's all about finding that balance between being an authority figure, but one who also cares about and connects with the people you work with every day. So that's my secret weapon, personal connection.
How many points?
Honestly, probably about 8 starfish.
Hi, yeah, I'm Ben. This is where you say hi, Ben, in unison in a monotone voice, please. It's been 17 years since my last VB script. I'm not gonna lie, it's been tough. Ruby gets me the syntax I like. I guess PHP kind of scratches the itch, but I'm moving through it. I'm counting the years. Yeah, so when it comes to my secret weapon, first of all, I have a beard. That should tell you everything you need to know in this industry. Secondly, I've been working in IT, mentored by the greatest, Mr. Hogan, Mr. Lowenhagen. And I have gone from architecting and building systems for hundreds of users to millions and now billions. And all these systems and technologies that I've been involved with, I get to show any team, any developer that expresses an interest that wants to know how we do things. And then when they express that interest, when I light up, like I want to talk about all the time, I love building things and talking about the things I built. And when someone shows that interest, it means that they're genuinely want to know and learn more. And then I get to teach them. Then they get to pass that information on. And then they get to light up and show the things that they've built. And it's conferences like this where I get to share that information. This is the first year I am actually not a presenter because I wanted to do the deathmatch instead. So that's my secret weapon. Beard, experience, I get to share my experiences. People get to see the things I've built at a scale that most people never will. And then they get to share that information and architect their own systems.
15 golden markdown pages.
I approve of the mark.
Mr. Hogan, same question.
I approve of the markdown pages.
Well, we all met this morning. Hi, again. When I think about like what my secret weapon is, and I think about all the people that I've taught, I think the people who have been in my classes will know that my secret weapon is high expectations. Because if I set high expectations and I give everybody the tools to get there, they're going to be successful. And that doesn't mean you do the work for them. It means that I talk less and they work more. So when I'm structuring curriculum, it's mostly about doing, not me talking. It's not about me being, the star of the show. It's about making sure that the expectations that I set so that the learner is the star of the show. They're the hero on their own journey. Because that's what motivates them. Everybody's in a class because they want to make a better life for themselves, or they're in a workshop because they want to learn a new tool, maybe they want to get some more money at work. And it's also important to recognize that sometimes people don't want to be there. They don't want to be there, but they have to be there. They have to be at that training for some reason. They have to learn this new tool because they need to keep their job. Everyone has those motivations. But if you set high standards, you can tap into what actually motivates people. And I've seen it happen time and time again. It's not enough to just set high standards and then just walk away. It's setting the high standards and then being their guide, helping them get those high standards, helping them meet those high standards. Set the expectations and then say, I'm right here with you. If you're willing to come along with me on this, let's learn together. That's my secret.
It's beautiful. 4 battle unicorns for you, sir. Mr. LaNou, same question.
So I'm going to explain my secret weapon with a story. And I once worked for a company, a senior engineer, and I was in a conference room with 4 other senior engineers, all vastly smarter than I was. And the CEO comes in and starts talking about this feature that he wants to add. And he's talking about this feature, and he's using all these words, and I don't know any of these words. I have no idea what he's talking about. And finally I stopped and I said, can you explain what you're talking about? And he looks at me like I'm an idiot. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand it. And I figured, well, either I gotta, say I don't understand it now, or understand it later. I gotta fess up. Get out of the meeting. Every engineer came up to me and said, I'm so glad you asked that. I had no idea what he was talking about. Every engineer, but nobody else is willing to say, I don't understand. I don't know what you're talking about. And so I guess my secret weapon is really letting people know It's okay to not know. I mean, we work in an industry that is vast. There's no way you're going to know everything. You're not going to know every technology. You're not going to know how everything works. You're not going to know every single computer science term. I'm self-taught. I didn't go to college. And I remember people one day sitting around the table and they're talking about mutation and over and over and over. And they're talking about polymorphism over and over and over. I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. Turns out I did it every day, right? I just didn't have the term for it. And so I think in our industry, I really try to get across when I teach, it's okay to not know. It's okay to say that you don't know, and that you don't have to be spurned for that. And, ask the question, because if you have the question, so does somebody else. That's my secret weapon.
I didn't understand a single piece of that. English? That's beautiful. 8 red question marks for that one. Next slide. Competency. What is the most important core competency or technical skill that you try to instill in students or stakeholders? Who wants to take this one? I'll leave it up to you guys. Otherwise, all right, killer.
Make it. We're supposed to be really. Make it happen. And what I mean by that is make information technology happen. And that's what I drive home. It's if you go back 30 years into our field, we were computer science, right? All the programs back in the day was computer science. Taking this computer technology and looking at it, the software, the data, the code, all the different aspects, the hardware, and how can we solve problems with this? So when you're working on your IT projects out in industry, and the boss says, hey, can you build this new time and labor system, or can you do, X, Y, Z, or integrate these two systems, or do some ETL, extract, transform, and load data from one legacy system to a newer ERP, you say, yes, I will, and I will make it happen, even if you have no idea how to do it. And that's how it was in the industry for me. But you know what? You break things down into small, manageable little tasks that you need to figure out. And then it's like, okay, what technology? How can I use some integration or write a small script to move this data over here, or to make this web page into a PDF on the web server so then I can email it out using SMTP to all the police departments of a missing children's a poster type thing. I'll find some C code and get through all the error processing there and compile the exe and put on the web server and shell out of my web app, whatever it was back in the day. But you find the tools, you say, I will be successful with this. You always have plan A, B, and C. So if A fails during that go live system implementation when the manufacturing turned off their machines for a day, losing $2 million by shutting down the factory so you can roll out your new system, you make sure when that system comes up the next day, it's working. And you have plans in place in case you hit snags. So that is the core competency I try to teach my students.
15, just do it. I love it.
Mine would be mental flexibility. The thing is, stuff is changing so fast. What I'm about to say is a little bit disturbing. 12 years ago, when I was a full-stack developer, most of the time I spent coding in jQuery and Visual Basic. But things change. Things got better, and new technology is changing all the time. So when I teach coding, which is pretty often, I don't focus on one particular language, one particular syntax, but the overall concepts, and make it easier for people to learn. So flexibility is the core competency that I always go for.
Love jQuery. You lose 5 JavaScripts. It's beautiful. It's fair. Let's pour one out for jQuery at the after party.
I think we need a form of support report here for you, Nate.
Thank you for letting me share.
Yeah. At least it wasn't VB script, it was actually VB, right? VB.net.
It was VBA.
Oh, okay. Perfect. I'm getting Brian Stone Serengeti flashbacks here. So the core competency I look for, I am not looking for a specific technology, framework, stack, process, OOP, any modular framework. I'm looking specifically, can I give you a problem or a technology or technical information, and you're able to formulate a solution to a problem we're facing, or you're able to find technology that might address this solution. Because when you get to that point, and you have product ownership and domain expertise of that product or the technology that you're working in, if there is an issue, and I say, okay, this is what's being observed, I need you to immediately be able to say, that is it within 10 seconds, or at least bounce 10 ideas off me. Because when I see that competency and that level out of a developer, that tells me I don't have to shovel tasks to you. It shows that you are able to own a product, identify inefficiencies, work with other developers to improve a product, as well as the offerings or expand or enhance anything that you identify as inefficient. You'll identify the technologies, you'll be able to give them to me, I'll be able to review, and you'll be able to state what are the costs, what are the benefits, what are the inefficiencies or efficiencies we're going to see if we do this, as well as how, if we architect things a certain way, what impacts we'll see across the business. Just to give an idea of scale, my little team of 3 engineers supports 1,780 products across 143 platforms with 13 different technologies. We are the gatekeepers of $32 billion in revenue, and all analytics for the company, all marketing, and all advertisements. If we switch a 1 to a 0, we can kill all ad revenue for the company. So when you see that level of competency and you get that out of a developer through training and just doing these mental exercises, the result is amazing. Look at Dan here.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. That's 30 sleepless nights for you. You've been awarded 30 sleepless nights.
That's everything.
Mr. Hogan.
One of the things that I always tried to instill in people that I was teaching when I was working here was that software development is 80% people and only 20% code. Because if you don't have the right relationship with people, you don't have the right understanding of what people want, you don't have the good enough communication skills, you're going to build the wrong thing. I think that's going to show itself to be really true now that we could have robots build things for us and make mistakes even faster. And so when I think about it, it's like, yeah, learning a new programming language, that's cool. And I think the things that my fellow panelists have already said, I think are really important. Having a growth mindset, knowing that everything you're learning right now is going to change. None of the programming languages that I learned when I was in school are any one that I use right now, except for JavaScript, which I hate. What choice do I have? It's the one I have to use. And I think that's kind of the part of this is they're just tools. Your ability to wield the tools is what makes you great, what makes you valuable. And understanding that what makes you valuable is the interactions with people, understanding what people are asking you to build, asking the follow-up questions, asking the hard questions when you don't understand something. That's what sets you apart. So I always try to get people to think like, yeah, code's fun. Code can be cool, building stuff's cool, but people, the relationship with people, that becomes really important, and that's one of the most important competencies you can master.
Thank you. I've heard this before, so one infinite recursion error for you, because I swear I heard that somewhere before earlier today.
I guess the core competency that I really try to stress when I'm teaching, especially young developers that are new to it, is the never give up, never surrender premise. Because it's very easy to get frustrated in our profession, right? It's very easy to feel like you don't belong because you're not smart enough and you can't figure something out. And I found that any task I've ever been given, I've never failed at as long as I didn't give up. And that is a hard one to get across, especially to new developers, because it's so overwhelming what we're asking them to do, right? Like, our job isn't easy. The amount of knowledge we have to actually solve even simple tasks is it's gargantuan. And so when you're new, you don't know anything, and you're asking them to even do the simplest things. They've never used a terminal. They've never, written a line of code. They don't understand what a HTTP transport is. They don't understand anything, right? And the first time they hit a bug, they are just lost. They just feel defeated. And I really try to get across, we've all been there. We've all been defeated. We've all had that feeling. And try to let them know every day of my life, I still have that feeling. I still feel like I'm an idiot every day. Just don't give up.
I want 5 pats on the back for Cory LaNou for this one. That's beautiful. Next question, and let's mix it up. Let's start with Cory. We'll go down the line again because we're here. Oh, is this the next question? Prepare. That's fine. Preparation. In planning a curriculum, what metrics or information do you use to decide what to prepare? Start with Mr. LaNou.
Well, usually I come to a code camp and do it for free and figure out what I did wrong. And then I charge people for it later when it's better. I'm kind of half joking. So it's when you prepare material the first time, it's kind of shooting from the hip. You have an idea of what you need to prepare. You have an idea of what you want to talk about. But as any general will tell you that no battle plan ever survives first contact. And so anytime I do material, I try to at least get to a code camp, a meetup, a virtual meetup, and try to present that material first, at least one time for free, because the expectation is you didn't pay for this, right? So you can't be too mad if it goes horribly bad. And the questions you'll get out of that really drive what you miss, because when you instruct on things, you're the expert, right? And so it's very easy to forget what people don't know. It's very easy to gloss over something that you just assume everybody knows and people haven't even heard of. And that will get addressed very quickly when you present it the first time. I've been training some of my material for 7 years, and I will still get a question in some of that material that I've never been asked. I'm like, oh, yeah, I should probably address that. So that's the only way I can go about it. I think it's impossible to know ahead of time what it's going to look like. You're just going to take your best shot at it.
This whole time I thought you were a nice guy, just volunteering. You're using us, but you're selling training later as a job.
So true.
Brilliant. 4 gold star. I got nothing. Brilliant. Mr. Hogan, same question.
Well, I was fortunate enough to teach here and actually go through like formal curriculum design training as part of certification for teaching in the state of Wisconsin at the technical college level. So I learned a lot of the theory behind adult education and how to design curriculum using kind of a backwards design approach, which is essentially figuring out what are the outcomes that you're looking to get out of the person. So when they're done with this course, what should they be able to do that they couldn't do before? Like what are the certain number of things, and depending on how much time you have, that kind of gives you some constraints for how many new skills they're going to come away with. And so you kind of map it that way and say, okay, if it's like a 3-hour workshop, I'm probably going to expect they're going to come away with probably 1 or 2 skills. And so once I have those skills that I want them to have, then I figure out how I'm going to assess them. How am I going to know that they have demonstrated those skills to me? And once I know how they're going to do that, then I can work out, well, what are the actual specific things I need to use to prepare them for so they can prove to me that they can do that outcome I'm expecting of them. And once I have that map, then I can figure out, okay, what are the actual things I need to cover in the lessons and what labs they need to do. And so it's this very backwards designed sort of thing. And what usually happens is you get about 80% of the way there. And then you've got something to go on, and then you go and deliver this thing for the first time, and yeah, you start uncovering the gaps. And it's like Cory said, you cycle through this and you go, oh, that's how this went. Well, next time we'll fill this in. I'll probably need to cover that. But what this method does prevent you from doing, time and time again, and it's not just me saying this, it's actually proven in the literature and the studies that back this method of course design, you don't include stuff that doesn't belong there. Because you are saying, I want them to be able to do this thing, so you're not going to introduce random topics. It's going to be fairly tight, which means you end up having extra room when you are missing something. Oh, I made an assumption I shouldn't have made. But that's how I approach it. And I'm very thankful to the time that I had at CVTC for the people who mentored me and taught me how to build courses. And Kyle was one of those people who helped me. Thank you for that, Kyle.
Thank you for reverse engineering people's brains. Mr. Anderson.
You didn't give them points.
It was one brain.
Oh, okay. It was one brain. I'm beginning to think these points are full.
Very serious.
Much like my peers Kyle here and Brian, I had the opportunity to teach at CVTC for 5 years. I actually got to work with the Wisconsin Independent Development System, which is the organization that kind of defines the curriculum and the course outcomes and objectives that need to be accomplished for designing curriculum for at least the technical college system. And I worked with Kyle on the IT data analyst or ETL introductory program apprenticeship, which was one of the most exciting things I got to work on. But as Brian mentioned, it is reverse engineering. The state says you have to do it. You have to meet these competencies. You're constrained, but you get a lot of flexibility on how you're going to design the labs and what you're going to present. But the outcomes are already decided, and you have to be able to assess and measure those and see that there's progression along those, so you can say they have completed the competencies of this course or met at least the requirements of the course, they can move along. But when it comes to industry, I do things quite a bit differently because I'm more of I'm not an applied learner. I like theory. I can take a research paper, formulate a million ideas on how it can be applied and do it. During my time teaching at CVTC, I found not a lot of people are like that. I don't learn from an applied approach, even though I like it, but a lot of people love applied. And people love it applied so much, and I believe it wholeheartedly because I even pursued my doctorate in vocational education, which is Tradeschool, applied learning, any kind of vocation like electrician, plumber, and in some case I'm becoming an advocate for even making software engineering a vocation. So when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, well, what mindset do you need for software developers? What are they interested in? A question I asked when I was teaching programming fundamentals is, what is it you want to do? What is it you want to build? You would be surprised on how many people said, I want to be a hacker. That is not the correct motivation. I had a lot of students said, I want to build games, I want to do this because this is what I'm interested in. This is what I want to accomplish. And the thing is, you can nurture that. You have office hours. My students started coming in because they wanted to learn games. And by the end of ProgFund, they were using the Phaser game engine. And they were having fun with it. And they're wildly successful because now they're just pursuing their interests. They're able to apply it in industry. So my main focus when designing curriculum, at least in the context of what I'm doing now in industry, is what are you interested in? I've interviewed hundreds of candidates for the 3 engineers I have now. I asked them all the same question, what is it you want to do? And how does that align with what I'm offering? And will you be able to do this kind of work, be able to think critically, or can I teach you to think critically? My 3 engineers, Stan's the only one that's formally trained in IT. I have a graphics designer and a YouTuber. And they are the best engineers I've ever had. So as long as I can nurture what their interests, they are happy. And they are the most disciplined and excellent engineers you'll ever get to meet.
Thank you, sir. You've been awarded 3 bloodied battle axes.
Even if they're praising you? Okay. Do I have 4? 4? 3.5.
2. 2. Haggling gets you nowhere. I'm the boss up here. I'm fired. Boss, but full disclosure.
We'll talk about this on Monday.
Councilman Otto, same question to you. Be nice.
Yeah, I also taught at CVTC before. Kyle here was my boss a couple of years back. This question makes me think about summer programs. I know we're lucky in Eau Claire. We've got so many summer programs for children just to I guess quick show of hands from you guys. Who has kids in Eau Claire summer programs like YMCA, Pablo Center? Okay, a bunch of us, mine too. And in the summer, I'll typically start my mornings teaching at Boys and Girls Club. And then in the afternoon, I'll teach at the Pablo Center. And these are very different demographics of organizations, very different demographics of students. But for both, I've got learning objectives every week. Boys and Girls Club is really learning objective heavy, as are the Pablo STEAM programs. So I'll start the morning with a usually larger group of Boys and Girls Club kids, usually younger, usually lower income, more demographically diverse. And with that, to deliver the STEAM programs, there's more classroom management required. Less on getting the information provided, but get control of the classroom, then you can deliver the key lesson objectives of the day. And the added challenge in lesson planning there is resources are really scarce. So we have to be creative. We have to share the one television screen, the handful of tablets we use, a lot of drawing, a lot of inexpensive art resources for our STEAM programs. But then I'll walk across the bridge and be in a different environment with different teaching style required. In the Pablo Lego Robotics program, they've got really good grant writers. And the students who are there are fewer of them. They're highly motivated, and they have these fantastic resources. So at the end of the day, I'm teaching a class that's very information heavy. And both experiences are really rewarding. It makes for a busy day teaching in two different environments. And yeah, it's all about adapting to the situation.
Thank you. That's 2 Terminators for Mr. Otto.
Thanks, Nate. I'll try not to yell into the mic this time. I got a little excited about the last question. So in planning a curriculum, I think Brian really started us out from the CVTC perspective. I remember starting as an IT professional. I had that make it happen attitude where I could give me any project, even if I don't know what's going on, I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. To okay, what am I doing? How do I teach? And that's a lot of times when you come in out of industry. You start there, but one of the things that the technical college system does really well is competency-based learning. And where we gather our information is from all of you. That's why they force us to have these twice a year, and thank you very much for Ben and others that have been on advisory committees throughout the year. You're the ones that I'm like, okay, you're a software developer or a data analyst. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Because I've done a lot of projects and had a lot of titles on the industry, but it's been a while since I've been out there. Tell me what's going on today. I can read this stuff and try to keep up with it, and have to teach myself this stuff to be able to teach students. But getting that insight from you is everything. So if you can ever be on an advisory committee at a college, it's very valuable for the instructions, and it does make an impact on the students and future lives of other people. And so you come up with a list of 8 different competencies. If it's a 3-credit class, what are the skill sets? That hands-on that was spoke earlier about the applied, that hands-on knowledge. And then with each one of those competencies, come up with a list of learning objectives. What little tasks do they have to learn in order to master this competency? And so that's really the focus of the technical college, and what makes us different than the universities is if you're taking a Java class, you will write some really great Java and some cool apps by the end of the class. Or if you're in our data analytics program, you can have these awesome data dashboards, web-based data dashboards to show your employers when you're done. But I think it was also brought up, always make that cognitive connection with the student. A little harder to do in our online program because you can't see the whites of their eyes and I have no idea what you're talking about. And we have to be careful in IT not to talk, all the abbreviation and all these initials and stuff for different things, and actually explain when I said SMTP, that simple mail transfer protocol, is that like it's another protocol like HTTP to pull up a web page, but it sends out a text file, sends it out through the mail system, and sends the email out. So you have to make sure that you're always speaking in a language that they can somehow connect with something they already know and make that transition. And then, of course, assessing the student. Do they understand that competency? Can they explain it to an employer in an interview? And so that's always the challenge as well. But I encourage many of you, there's a lot of us old gray-haired guys and gals that are going to be retiring in the next few years, and we need more instructors. And it's kind of hard to find because you might be making some good six-digit money out in the industry, but will you come and work for 34-week contract, for 75 to 85 to 90, and work from home part-time and you have the flexibility but make less money. So we're so grateful that Brian came in from industry. Even during that 3 years, his technical writing skills as an author revolutionized. I knew about competencies and learning objectives after doing it for 10, 12 years, but he showed me how you can make a class just come to life in content, in flow, in learning styles and stuff like that. And so his impact is it really touched our software developer and now the data analytics program as we're trying to bring in all these new tools and all these AI tools and mash it all up to come up with something cool for the students in a learning environment. But
advisory committee is really cool. Is that something that's non-standard then in schools and everything?
What's that?
The advisory committee itself?
Yeah, I think, well, I wasn't at the advisory committee for UW Stouts. Now it's called Bachelor's of Science or Business Administration. It used to be the BSICT, Information and Communication Technology. So both at universities and technical colleges, we usually have 2 meetings a year. It takes an hour or two. I do mine virtually over Teams. So if you want to be in the data analyst or software developer, Josh Cooley over there probably could take your name for the software developer, and I would be happy. Ours is coming up like April 9th or something on a Thursday morning from 8:30 to 9:30. But you have a direct impact on what we teach and what competencies are in our courses, and a direct impact on future lives and making other people that are doing the hard job of investing their time and money in trying to find a better life for themselves and their families.
I'm going to say 5 health potions to
There you go.
Director Lowenhagen. In the interest of time, this next one is going to be a speed round.
Okay.
You have 30 seconds, gentlemen. What competitive edge do you try to give your students or stakeholders help them succeed in industry? Let's start with. You just got done talking. Let's keep going, Mr. Lowenhagen.
All right.
30 seconds.
Hands-on experience. A picture's worth 1,000 words. You can say, hey, I know how to do this to an employer, but if you can come in, if it doesn't matter if it's electromechanical and you have a little machine you made in your capstone class, or if it's software that you can show them your GitHub and your software, your code, or the dashboard and data analysts and some cool reports that you developed ETL and brought in, designed your own database. That has gotten more people jobs than I can count. So yeah, that is a competitive advantage.
Councilman Otto?
I think being charming and likable is a learned skill, and it gives us such an advantage that whenever possible, I teach students, hey, here's how to be more likable, because then people will listen to you, you'll get the job. But it also has other good side effects, like it teaches you how to be more compassionate, empathetic, be a better listener. So, I try to teach students to be likable.
How many points?
Your word at the end of the speed round. You have 25 seconds.
Well, not 20. Critical thinking. I'm not paying you to learn a specific technology or framework. I'm paying you to solve business problems.
The most competitive advantage that you can have that I can help you build is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. It's always going to change, and you're always going to have to adapt to it. That's the only constant in software development. So Get comfortable with it. And if you're comfortable with it, then you'll have the ability and the stamina to tackle the next challenge that comes your way.
It's not what you know, it's who you know. And that is true even in our industry. And so when it comes to competitive advantage, network, and network. I have been very fortunate that even in the downturns of computer science, I have never been hunting for work. In fact, I've always continued to turn down opportunity. And it's because of who I know, not what I know. And I think that's important. So really network, get to know people, and that will help you go a very long ways.
Awesome. Everyone gets 2 golden eagles for brevity. Did I do golden eagles yet? The next one. This is from a question from the parents in the audience. What percentage of my kids' college fund should be used to pay tuition, and what percentage should be set aside to pay for the AI tokens they'll need to complete their homework? It's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek question, but it's addressing an elephant that has been addressed over and over again today. But you want to start, Cory?
Sure. AI tokens aside, who knows what that'll be tomorrow? We don't even know what that's going to be. But what I will tell you is that I think if you're going to send your kid into our world, there's not a one-size-fits-all. All right, you can learn it on your own. You can go to a boot camp. You can apprentice. You can go to a 2-year or a 4-year college. And I think everybody has to evaluate what the best fit is for them. I've got experience in all of them. I'm self-taught. I helped work with a 6-month boot camp that took people that were coffee baristas that had never made more than $15 an hour, and 6 months later turned them out at Amex at $120,000 a year salary. And those can be life-altering. And the fee for that was $20,000. So it's a pretty good investment when you think about 6 months, spend $20,000, complete that course, you're making $120,000. Those are life-altering events. Now, that being said, that is a very hands-on approach, right? They're going to teach you from 9 to 5 days a week, how to actually write code. You're going to write code and do your daily stand-ups, your GitHub check-ins, and all that kind of stuff. Go to a 4-year college, you're going to get more of the computer science-y approach, right? And there's different outcomes to that and different opportunities for that. So it really depends on what you're looking for, but I would suggest that as a parent, you look at all those different tracks and try to understand where your child wants to end up in that track. That being said, none of them prevent you from getting into anything. Like ours might be the only profession that at the end of the day, there really aren't glass ceilings. If you can do the job, you usually can get hired for the job.
I didn't know you taught boot camps. 4 marching soldiers for you, sir. In the interest of time, yeah, we go a minute, and then we'll do a final question after this. Second to last question. But take it away, Mr. Hogan.
It really does come down to having a discussion with your kiddo about what they want to do, and because it's a lot of money to spend and be in debt for if you don't have a college fund to make a decision that isn't the right fit for them. I can't say that college is the right approach. I can't say that technical college is the right approach. I can't say that self-taught is the right approach, because there's lots of people who are motivated enough to be self-taught. But benefit of a 4-year college, while Cory's right, there's lots of roads into this industry. But a 4-year college degree does show people that you can show up and put up with people's bull crap for 4 years. When someone asks you to do a whole bunch of math problems, and you say, when am I ever going to use this in the real world? You're going to think back into the times that you've sat there and your manager's giving you a bunch of busy work and you just got to suck it up and do it. That's when you use those skills in the real world. And so college proves that you can show up every day for 4 years and commit to something and come out with an end result. And that does matter to some people. Like, that matters to some people. And there are some people that are just not disciplined enough to show up every day to do that. There are also people who are not disciplined enough to try to learn independently. They need the structured environment. So the answer is really a personal discussion with you and your kid. What environment's going to work right for them to be successful?
Fantastic. Dr. Anderson?
Kind of echoing what Brian said, it's all depending on what your end goals are. Do you want to skate through college and use an agent and it might get you a passing grade, it might even get you a degree. If you can already program, why not? But your instructors might have something to say about that. It's more or less you're shooting yourself in the foot if you choose to go the 4-year route or the 2-year route, and then you get a degree, but you're going to be sitting in an interview with me and I'm asking you questions saying, I'm going to ask Claude or ChatGPT for this, isn't a valid answer. You're shooting yourself in the foot because the point of going to college, university, or self-taught is you parrot and you get information, but eventually what's been ingrained into me from one, the technical college, as well as when I was doing my doctorate, is Bloom's taxonomy. You're going to parrot, you're going to remember, you're going to start building things, but not really going beyond what you already know from that initial scope to the point where you're able to create something new and leverage it in unique ways. Case in point, what we do at Paramount. And look at Dan here. He is one of the most flexible people you'll ever meet. Here he is presenting. So,
Councilman Otto. I get
bonus points, right?
I blush.
I
I'm blushing.
There you go, see?
The other day, I was driving my kids home, and my 14-year-old said something that made me kind of sad. They were talking about careers, and my youngest said, I want to be a game coder. And my oldest said, oh, that won't make you any money. Do something else. I'm like, all right, you're too young to be that cynical. So I had a talk with them that you can choose a balance between what you purely want to do versus what's good and stable. And it's not a solid line. Like, there are a lot of elements in game coding that you can apply to other more lucrative jobs. Like, there's game coding in learning databases and data management. There is that spark of interest in there. So whatever people decide to do, like, I guess it's about finding what's interesting about the job that you have, the job that you're seeking. And life is a really big place. Like, I was a self-taught computer programmer. I got my terminal degree in public policy. So then I was a software developer, then a school teacher, part-time politician. So there's plenty of time to decide what you want to be when you grow up, and plenty of opportunities. I don't know if college is the best place. I'd be thrilled if my kids went to CVTC, UW Eau Claire, as long as they're not too far away from me. But that's a long-winded way of saying I don't know.
Well, one of the biggest challenges for us as IT instructors right now is some of our students are using 100% of their money for AI tokens. So first semester, and then one of the biggest challenges at the tech right now is to identify AI bots taking our classes. And so I'm pretty sure I got a guy named Jay going through my beginner's guide of data analyst, and I'm pretty sure he's a bot. Because he never responds to an email, and he can do everything perfect on if ChatGPT can do it. But then you're like, go through this software cyber thing, and then print me out the success that you completed the course, and then type up a summary, and you send it into ChatGPT or Gemini, and come up with more specifics on it, and then do a peer tutoring. Nothing, no submission there, or just saying I completed the one-liner there. So that's the challenge that we're having. But also, we chose in the data analysts when we developed it 3 years ago. We're going to lean into AI. So a lot of other programs are playing catch up, but we're leading the college in this area, and we're like, use AI as a thought partner. And everything else that Brian's been teaching us today is spot on. Don't expect AI to do your work, because they're not going to pay you for that. If AI is doing, if all your work was AI in the past, you need to have that creative solution to solve the problems that the businesses have, business processes have. But that's where AI. So you'll get a lot of AI in our classes, but we're trying to figure out what we can do with AI to take away the grunt work of the assignment, but yet have that high level thinking and creativity in the assignment, still have the student do that piece of it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lowenhagen. in the interest of time, I think we're going to have to cut it off. I was going to do the last question. We're going to skip this one. I'm just going to say, I thank you guys very much for sharing. I know we all have to learn in this industry, and it's a really important thing, and we take it for granted how hard that you guys work to try and shove knowledge into my dumb brain. And personally, from a lot of you, a lot of my whatever success I've had in this career and world. Anyway, I love you guys very much. Thank you for doing the IT deathmatch. It was a tie, 5-way tie. Who saw it coming? Thank you guys.